All right then, guys. So today we have the one, the only Jan Jago here joining us on our first ever podcast show. So Jan, first and foremost, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome, I think.
Who knows how it's going to go? One way we'll find out. So Jan, what I would just love to do today is just talk to you about like the incredible success that you've kind of seen over the last couple of years in which you've been with us. So I suppose it kind of makes sense for us to like revisit where you were when you like very first started. So could you just give us like a bit of a rundown as to kind of whereabouts you were at that time before joining, like what different kind of medical things that were going on, and essentially, I suppose, why you reached out to us in the first place?
Okay, God, I've got to remember all that. Right. Okay.
Hopefully, yeah.
Feels like a lifetime ago. Oh my goodness. So, oh my God, where do I start? Was reasonably fit, I thought.
Yeah.
Because I was out walking the dog all the time and loved walking. Had decided to apply for a charity expedition to Nepal, but also had quite a young Labrador that was getting stronger and stronger. And so an old back injury was playing up a lot. I guess I hadn't realised how much weight had crept on. Apparently I'm very good at hiding it. I've since been told.
Not sure what that means, but yeah.
When somebody said you're looking well, you're like, what does that mean? So I was also a serial, well, I don't know, I think gyms used to love me because I join and pay them religiously for at least 12 months and maybe only attend once or twice.
Okay.
Because I'm quite committed like
that. Yeah, dedicated to the cause. Yeah, we don't do that, by the way, but
So yeah, it was a really big thing for me to actually think, do you know what, the gym is the answer. Went off to a training weekend for this Nepal adventure. And there was this 70-year-old guy there that said, whatever is thrown your way whilst you're on this expedition, the best way to get through it is to be the fittest you can be in whatever guise. There was no kind of, you need to do this, this or this. It was just mindset. Just
almost like quite a blanket statement almost, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm driving back from Keswick. It was actually the worst drive home. It was an 11-hour trip, that one.
Yeah.
It was delightful. But it did give me a lot of thinking space and reflecting on lifestyle, which wasn't great. Had a difficult few years and was clearly drinking way more than I realised, which was accounting for the weight gain.
Yeah.
And just, whenever you, it's funny, and when you look back and think the number of times I would look in the mirror and have a little chat with myself, and I wasn't liking what I was saying to myself.
Yeah.
Which is really hard to think about now, but well, you know what, I've changed it, so it's okay. But I think, for anybody listening, it's that look in the mirror. That's the moment when you have to be really honest with yourself, and that's what I was doing and wasn't liking my honesty.
Of course.
Which is really, really honest. So driving back in this lovely long journey, I was like, I need to do something, and I drive past the entrance to Future Bodies every single day.
So there's no excuse.
No.
Yeah.
Apart from it's really difficult to make your car turn off. Who knew? And so anyway, that was the first weekend in February 2 years ago. It was March before, so it was about 6 weeks later that I actually did turn in here one evening. Yeah. Just after work, and
how did that feel coming up here for the first time as well? Yeah.
What am I doing? There was just this nagging little, the whole chimp thing. There's like one chimp going, yeah, right, idiot. The other one going, come on, do it.
Yeah.
So, walked up the stairs and Tim was sat at the desk. You were in the goldfish bowl.
Yeah, that's our glass office for those of you.
It's a very nice goldfish bowl. So anyway, Tim was big, smiley welcome. And I was like, oh, okay, this is not quite what I was expecting. And really from there on, it was showing me around and, we've got this great thing called Game Changers, but you need to see Josh, he'll explain it all. And just felt really relaxed, which was quite bizarre. There's lots of people, it's very busy. And I was like, well, that's actually a really good sign if a gym's really busy. But I didn't feel awkward at all, so I'd made to feel welcome instantly. And then I saw you.
And here we are 2 years later. So I think, what's really cool with that is, our initial discussion and how we start all new clients off is with a 6-week kickstart program or variation of. And I suppose, what was really interesting about our chat was you had some quite specific goals that we kind of tied in with all the other things.
Yeah.
So I think what's really cool is let's revisit those goals. So can you remember what your initial goals were that you were looking to achieve?
I'm a woman of a certain age. I can't remember what I did yesterday. Obviously the key thing was about fitness, and I was going to Nepal in the October, so this was the very end of March. So I knew I had a good 6 months to sort myself out, but particularly the expedition that time I was doing was called Build and Trek. So I was going to be on a build site over in Nepal, helping to build a school for a week. And then if my back survived the week, I would then go and do the trek in the Himalayas, both of which were massively important to me, huge goals. And I'd done some charity work before, been to Gambia on a similar kind of thing, done lots of walks, and this was the combination of two, so it was the ultimate. But I kept, if I can't even lift a bag of shopping out of the car boot, how on earth am I going to be on a build site for a week? So that was the key thing for me, even though looking back, obviously the how I felt, how I looked, that actually has been the biggest win. But in my head at the time, it was the trouble I constantly had with my back and had since I was in my early 20s when I injured it playing badminton. So it'd been a long-standing problem that every gym I'd ever been to, I always ended up injured and carrying on paying and not going.
Yeah, exactly that. And I think what you said there is really poignant. When people initially start, they're not really clear on their goals or what they're looking to achieve, and that's the whole reason why we have these discussions. So, okay, well, this is kind of whereabouts you're at. Let's actually put some plans and goals in place. And I think from your point of view, we had some real clarity in terms of some really cool fundraising in which you wanted to do. We then also delved a bit further and saw we had body composition goals in mind. So we're looking to gain muscle, lose fat. But I think the biggest elephant in the room for us to really focus on first of all was this back injury. And, from struggling to, bring things out of the car and that sort of stuff to suddenly then us saying to you, right then, Jan, we're going to get you lifting weights in a way that is going to obviously make you a little bit nervous.
I just said no.
Yeah. And I think, it's if you'd never found that solution before, why was this time going to be different? And there's the apprehension attached to that. And I suppose, well, if we look at, from where you were with this back condition to where you are now, just talk me through kind of your experience and kind of whereabouts you're at now.
It's mental. It's literally mental because, the first few weeks, I actually did 12 weeks with Tim before I was allowed into the special room. And that was because, he's so careful with everything that we were trying. Did this have an impact on my back? And it wasn't just necessarily in the moment. It was a few days down the line. 100%. And this is what I'd always been used to, that I'd be kind of okay in the moment, but 2 days later, my right leg didn't want to work, that kind of thing. And so, Tim was just so patient and we had enough banter that, we very soon established a great relationship where he was going to me, it's not your body, it's your head. It's all in your mind. You can do a sit-up, you can lift this. But adapting everything that we did to take great care of me, that's how I felt. Felt in really safe hands. And also I think one of the things that, thinking about coming here today, I was thinking one of the things that really drives me, and it's always been a thing, I'm very competitive with myself. So,
and others slightly, but
but also really competitive with MyZone. That was an absolute game changer. I'm saying that loads today. That, I just love numbers and give me a challenge and I want to annihilate it. So that's, even now, 2 years on, if I haven't got my MEPs every day, I'm having a crisis, as we would recently notice with my injury, which I'm sure we'll come back to. But what a driver, it's so simple, but something that it does make you get up and get out every day.
And I think, at this point I should probably interject and explain what this is. So MyZone...
We have no script.
Totally freewheeling this. MyZone is essentially a bit of technology that basically tracks how hard you work. As part of being on this program, we set you a target as to how long and how hard you need to work per day. And for those of you guys that are watching this, the harder you work and the longer you work, the more points you score. And the target we set you must be achieved. If not, you get a friendly reminder from me and the coaching team to make sure you're bang on target. And what we've tried to do is make exercising fun, and it's called like the gamification of fitness. You get an instant reward for the effort put in.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right. You know, you obviously get on a scoreboard and you can see whereabouts you're
And
at.
we all encourage each other as well. It's just nice.
So I think let's like kind of bring you forward to present day in terms of like results in which you've seen, and then we can kind of take it from there. So if we look at the first and foremost, let's look at the biggest elephant in the room, your back. How would you say you've progressed to date to where you are? You know, what things couldn't you do? What's the things that you can now do?
Oh my goodness. So one of the things I used to really love was, although it was never anything other than a me self-satisfaction, was being able to run, which sounds really simple.
Yeah.
But if I ran very far at all, the impact, be it on the roads or whatever, the impact would then kick off my back issue. And so I hadn't done any running for years. I hadn't done any sit-ups for years. The thought of ever being able to do anything that was weighty, let alone 100% of my body weight. Oh my God.
We'll come on to that in a minute. Absolutely, we're coming on to that.
All of that was like, I don't want to do. And also that thing, Josh, where it's like, I don't want to do weights. Why would I do? I've never done weights. I love cardio. I love a bit of music in my ears and getting sweaty and that stuff. But it was never about weights or physique in that way. It was about enjoying myself but getting fit and sorting this back issue out. So I couldn't run. Sit-ups, these were like the really simple three main things I would say. So weights, sit-ups, running was just a big no-no, absolute no-no. And yet, when was it? September, I think. September was when I did my Cooper run. That was a moment in time I will never forget.
A Cooper run, very quickly, is a way that we use to track fitness. So the faster you can run over 12 minutes, the further the duration, the further and faster you can run, therefore the fitter you are. Back over to you, Jan.
So I think, I don't know, because of the ways we measure our fitness, so the strength and fitness tests, obviously I'd done one the year before and I'd got to 4%. Again, overjoyed, and I'm sure you're going to have to explain that now. See what I'm doing here. But I was trying to get to 2% overall, and I did the 2% run, and I was like, actually, I would say I found it easy, but I was like, I can push myself.
Yeah.
I can definitely. So, Tim, what's 1%? And he's like, looking at me like I've got 5 heads.
Yeah.
He went, oh my God, that's a big jump. It wasn't quite as polite as that. That is a big jump. And I just work it out, tell me what I've got to do. And then I think that was like the Friday evening or something. And on the Sunday morning when I quite often come in, it's quieter. And it's kind of just me time. And it's not the big crew thing. Yeah. It's just me. And so I had a little practice run. Sam was here. And she said, are you trying the Cooper? Yeah, I'll give it a try. Talking about the speeds and everything else. She said, are you mental? I went, I'm going to give it a go. Just missed it on the first attempt. So I was like, no time like the present.
Yeah. So in other words, let's go straight into the fitness test. Okay.
Yeah, went straight. Yeah. Had a drink, water. Although afterwards, I think it could have been something else. Got back on it, got it all set up. So I knew exactly what I had to do, and I absolutely nailed it. Couldn't believe that I'd actually hit 1% Cooper run at my tender age of 57.
And again, to put that into context, because obviously you and I know exactly what it is. We basically have one mission and one mission only at Future Bodies, and that's to get every single client fit, strong, and healthy, and then long term in the top 5% of the population for being fit, healthy, and strong. And to put this into context, if you can qualify for the top 5%, you've basically gotten your body to a position where 95% of the population will never be able to get to, which in itself is an absolute massive achievement. And it's a success rate we see with pretty much 98% of our clients that we work with. But from there, it's then, if you wish to, and if you've got a little competitive element, you can go up through the ranks. And what we're seeing here in Jan's case is she's now qualified for the top 1%. when it comes to your health and fitness with your running capability, which isn't bad for a lady that couldn't run nigh on 2 years ago.
Absolutely.
Which is absolutely phenomenal,
And wasn't
right?
even, you know, it was not something I even heard of
Yeah.
when I joined. So, you know, it was never about that, but it's just how things have just moved on.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
and
So
it's fun.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay. So if we kind of like revisit those goals, then we had like this back condition that was holding you back in quite a few areas. To suddenly now you can run. Your weight training with us and lifting over 100% of your weight when it comes to picking up weights.
Yeah.
So I think it's worth looking at that before we'd possibly struggle at times to lift things up.
Yeah.
Now, what's the maximum weight you've managed to pick up in gym with us?
62 kg.
62 kilos, which is 100% of your overall body weight,
Yeah.
which is pretty darn good going, eh? Not bad.
Shopping doesn't weigh that much.
So we've got that, which is amazing. And then let's also look at kind of the other goals that we associated with that as well. So we had a body composition goal as well. So how much weight have you now lost to date since starting with us as well?
That's crazy. So 79.9 2 years ago, almost the first weekend in February 2 years ago, I was 79.9 kg. So yeah.
Which now is, according to my maths,
18 kg.
There you are. So 18 kilo. I'm glad you stepped in. So 18 kilo loss, which again, if we were to flip that the other way for those that work in slightly
get me.
different.
When I joined, I was like, what do you mean kilos? Now more kg.
Which is nigh on 2.8 stone, which is absolutely phenomenal. And then I think also we need to look further into this, because obviously I know the things you've achieved, which is really cool and really exciting. But we've lost, 2.88 stone. We've gone from a condition that's holding you back to no longer is. And then, we had kind of these goals and these fundraising and these activities. And talk us through how that's escalated and to kind of what you've recently done and all that sort of great
escalated
stuff.
Just a little bit.
This is all on Jan, not us, by the way.
So, actually, I can't remember if when I first saw you were talking about the goals, I think I might have mentioned the second one, because I know you were asking short term, long term.
Yeah.
And so short term one was build and trek with a good back. And longer term was to fulfill an ambition I've had for many, many, many years, but never believed I could do it. I'm terrified of heights and would never have thought I could walk as far as I did. And it was to do the Everest Base Camp trek. Again, for the same charity it's a UK-based charity, but supporting Nepal's children. And that's what I went and did at the end of October last year and nailed it. But absolutely swear on my children's lives I couldn't have done it with what happened if it hadn't been for this place. Which is why I was extremely emotional. Not now, you'll be pleased, I'm not going to cry today. It's quite unusual for me. But yeah, when I actually got to base camp, I collapsed into a heap, sobbing, and then did the little video and the burpee.
Exactly. I think I can safely say you're the only client of ours that's done a burpee at the bottom of Everest Base Camp. But also you've been incredibly coy with that answer. You go, I've just gone for a little trek. So I think we need to, again, let's dive into that. So first of all, how many days was that expedition over, please?
So we were away for 3 weeks and the actual trek is 14 days.
14 days. And how high is the elevation in which you get to?
5,364 metres.
So if we were to put that into context to people that might understand, maybe if we use a scenario like Snowdon, so Wales' highest mountain, Scafell Pike, England's
Nevis,
highest.
I could do Nevis.
Nevis,
yeah. So that's, what would that be, about not quite 5 times as high as Nevis.
Yeah. Not bad, eh? And
Not
again,
bad.
and actually, for most of us reading this, Scafell Pike, Snowdon, pretty much 5 times that.
Yeah.
That's pretty phenomenal, isn't it, right? And up there, you're doing burpees, which is just absolutely
you can't
incredible.
breathe. 50% oxygen, so it's quite hard.
and so, as like your time with us has evolved, would you say like your goals and aspirations have, or?
I'm a little bit not fearless. But you're encouraging me to do things I would never do. So, zip wire.
Yeah.
again, terrified of heights, sobbing at the top, but still did
Yeah.
it.
So
Absolutely loved it.
what happened at the zip wire, just for the audience? Because again, they're not going to have a clue what you're talking about.
What is it? Is it the longest, highest
It
in
was
Europe?
the.
I can't remember
It was
now.
the. Do you know what? I can't actually. I know it's definitely
big.
like
It's
the
big and
longest zip line at the time of recording. It was the longest zip line in Europe.
Yeah.
And it basically goes over the quarries, and we basically took all you guys away for an expedition weekend.
Yes.
And I thought
We've
it'd
got
be.
the t-shirts on.
Yeah, we
We've
actually
got our
have got our
Snowden
Snowden. Go on,
Come
have
on,
to tell them that.
let's do a
We got
Snowden.
this wasn't actually scripted
No, it
either.
wasn't.
So
Right.
we ended up.
There
Hang
we
on,
go.
they are it. What do you reckon?
Hey.
We ended up. Well, I thought it'd be a great idea just to do something fun to finish our weekend off with a nice bang.
I
As it
seem
were,
to remember
wasn't it?
I mentioned it to you, and then afterwards
Yeah.
thought, oh my God, that means that he's going to make me do
Yeah,
it.
probably. Yeah, and before you know it, we were all booked in, and off we went to do the zip fly.
I was crying again. So I got to the car park and started crying and swearing.
It was quite high. In fairness, it was actually really quite high.
But yeah, do you know what? Did it. Amazing. But again, and thinking again when I was driving back from work today about this, it's all of this that we're talking about is fab, but there's a much bigger piece around it all.
Yeah.
And I think that Snowdon trip it really started to culminate what this is all about, because I wasn't the only one that was terrified.
There's a lot of terrified people. Yeah, no, that's very fair.
and kind of that community and support, and there's something that you just feel, it's just living and breathing every time you walk in this place, and that's incredible. It's you can't really explain that as a feeling, and but that's what's evolved, and it's just amazing. So yeah, I wasn't the only one crying. Just saying.
You definitely weren't. No, you are right. So, okay, amazing. So, if we look at this from a goal point of view, then we've absolutely cracked Everest Base Camp, which is amazing. Alongside that, we've then dropped 18 kilos. We've then overcome a back condition that was holding us back, which is absolutely incredible. And I think if you look at that just over 2 years, and we need to look at what's happening next and the bigger goals for you in a minute, but I suppose if we revisit to like that very first time that you walked up, if I was to ask you, what would you say was like the top 3 biggest things that was kind of holding you back and you were nervous about kind of like getting in the way of you actually being able to do this?
I think to be able to do any of it was, it's so hard because I'm so kind of like invested now. It's really hard to, apart from obviously the thing with the back is it's always, and it's still, we still weeks where I have to work through it just because, but that was definitely the main thing. And apart from that, I don't know, as I say, it's really hard to remember anything else that was getting in the way, because I'm now so invested that there's nothing that's ever going to stop me from coming now.
Look at that. Look, nothing's going to stop me.
I'm not ever going to move house. You're not ever allowed to go anywhere else.
We ain't going anywhere, don't worry.
So what am I going to do?
I think what's really important, especially when we look to revisit, is normally there's some really key things that can hold us back. So it's apprehension around injury, it's not knowing what to do to work around it, medical professionals saying that we shouldn't be doing certain things. And I think what's really amazing is when we have those discovery calls, we can really clearly plan out kind of like where you want to be. And there's a reason why we ask for short-term and long-term goals, is because we really find that you achieve those short-term goals, and let's face it, 6 weeks is over really, really quickly. So it's really important that we know kind of where you want to go long-term, so we can facilitate that, make that happen. And what's really amazing in your case is you've achieved everything. Everything you achieve, or everything you set out, you've absolutely achieved. So I suppose, where does that leave us to now? And like, what's your aspirations for this year? What's happening? Tell us all about it.
Oh God, well, I'm going back to Nepal, obviously. Different part of Nepal for all the funds that we raised last year, and we'll continue to raise this year, to actually build another school, but in the far west, very remote, which will give a whole different wealth of young Nepalese the opportunity to have a future, which is incredible. Hell of a legacy for that charity. So for me, that's a real driver. I think it's the how you feel. It's not how you. It's the inner. For me, it's like the inner strength I now have. that I'm now really conscious that my boys, who are my absolute world, are saying to me, "Oh, she's off again." Like, what's happened to you? Because I know, it is literally, let's push. In fact, the guy, one of the two people that set up the charity, an amazing person who I have the ultimate respect for, Roger, summited Everest. And his little favourite saying, which now rings in my head all the time, is, if you're not living life on the edge, you're taking up too much room. So somebody who hates edges and heights, I'm now up for it. I'm like, let's just push, let's just do this. And that's hugely because I now have the confidence in my body that I'm so much stronger. That silly things like standing on a boulder that you're wobbling around, I'm not wobbling anymore. And so it's really simple things like that, again, if your body's in a much stronger state, and that's why I say it's more about how you feel, that the rest of it is an output. Everything else is an input, isn't it? It's that when I look in the mirror now, I'm like grinning. Going, come on.
Bring it on.
And that's, I'm it's hard to say because I do find it, but I am really proud of what I've done. I'm really proud of myself. But I hope that helps inspires other people, because you literally, and it sounds so bloody cliched, but you literally can achieve anything. You've just got to trust people that know what they're talking about. And there we go. And just go with it and stick with it. That's the thing, is you got to kind of throw yourself in and stick with it, and the results come so quickly. It's incredible. So it's like, why wouldn't you just stay doing it?
So everything you said there about kind of like, especially from a positive mental shift, and do you find that comes just from actually taking control of your health and fitness? You're seeing the positive benefits. As you said, you're seeing the outcomes, and then it's like, okay, what else is possible? And do you find that like your vision has been stretched to then want to take on more, to want to do more, and to be more proactive with that approach as well?
And I think a stage back from that as well, Josh, is human nature will tell you, you will have off days or off weeks, but I have the security now and sound mind that if I do have a dodgy week, I know where I'm coming, and I know that I'll get the support I need, and you guys will notice in and out. You'll be like, you all right? Of course I am.
Let's come in for a chat.
So it's okay. It's okay not to be, Mrs. Positive 24/7, 23.5.7. But no, in all seriousness, that there's always difficult things that are thrown your way. But I think when you find something that makes such a difference, you're going to stick with it. And the amount of people that say to me, "You have changed so much in the last 2 years. What's happened?" And when I say it's the gym, and they're like, "What?" Weirdo. But then, again, just trying to explain what we have here is really quite difficult to sum up in a few words, isn't it? Hence why we could see it for hours.
Easily,
But it is. It's So I've kind of gone off piece now, but I thought it's important to say that that it's not all sunshine and roses. It's hard work, but it's fun, and if something's fun, you're going to keep doing it. And you've only got, I think it's amazing now as we get more and more new people, and more new buddies, and they're all like going, "Oh, this is great, isn't it?" Oh, it is literally really easy words, but these words are true. It is life changing. And if you really think about what those words mean, that's massive.
Yeah.
You can literally change your life. So what are you waiting for?
No, that's amazing. All right. And I suppose what would you say to anybody that's possibly like where you were 2 years ago and is just really apprehensive, nervous, maybe some self-doubt around their ability, whether they can do it, maybe the gym isn't for them? What would be your like candid advice to those individuals that are going through those types of thought processes?
So first of all, I would say go and do the mirror test. What you're saying to yourself, what do you see in your eyes when you're looking in the mirror, and be really, really honest with yourself. And preconceived ideas about the gym, well, don't worry about that, because this isn't normal. Whatever normal is, this isn't it. And you don't know until you try it. We can't all be wrong. And most of us are here for quite a long time, so we can't all be wrong, because this is definitely working. So come and try it out. We're actually quite a fun bunch as well.
I think,
Slightly crazy.
I think, yeah, you do need to be slightly unhinged sometimes,
that
don't
fits.
you?
Yeah. I've got another little phrase.
Yeah, go on, go for it.
Don't just join in.
Perfect.
And he didn't write that, I did. Actually, I stole it from somebody at work years ago. It's true though, isn't it?
100%, of course it is.
Don't just join, and that's
Yeah.
what I used to do. I'd join, keep paying every month,
Yeah.
and then not actually go. So the tip is, you have to go.
So this whole podcast, you just need to go. That's the summary, is it? Wow, look at that. Look.
Don't just join in.
Well, Jan, it's been absolutely wonderful having you on our first ever podcast.
Isn't it?
Thank you so much for sharing your journey and your experience with us.
No, thank you.
You're most welcome. And is there anything final parting notes you would like to add at all?
Oh my goodness, I would just say Future Bodies in Oakhampton is literally, this is what I said at Base Camp as well, it's the most incredible experience. Oh, honestly, it is how you feel as a human being inside. And I know this is not just me.
Mm-hmm.
There is a huge group of people that come here most days of the week, almost every day, that feel the same. So this isn't a one-off. This is real, and it's just the more people that can be a part of what this is amazing. Just come and have some fun. That's what I would say.
Jan, thank you so much. It's been wonderful having you, and thank you so much.
I didn't swear. Did I? I was swore once. Way.